Welcome again to another session of Lunch and Learn with Geo. Um, we are going to have a very interesting conversation about AI. And we're blessed by having a participation and a speaking by Michael McCready, who is, I guess you're getting pretty worn out, Michael, huh? You've got a lot of speaking engagements lately about AI. I saw you spoke to the ISBA recently also.
As long as people keep wanting to hear what I have to say, I'm going to keep saying it.
Well, as long as you keep giving us something interesting, then we'll listen.
There you go.
All right. Uh, we are recording, so watch what you say. We will be editing this before it's published, but nevertheless, be careful what you say. If you've got any questions, please use the chat box. I'll try to pick it up and ask Michael the question. Um, If you want to do anything with social media, this is the hashtag to use. We're going to be publishing, we're going to have a couple of, I'm going to tell you about our future webinars in a second. If at the end of the program, we'll give you instructions on how to get CLE credit if you're an NWSBA member. We're here because the Code of Professional Responsibility has some requirements for us, but more importantly, understanding the benefits and risks associated with relevant technology. And I would say that when the rule was adopted in 2015, they anticipate that AI would going to be such an important feature of that technology. But here we are. And we're lucky today to have Michael McCready speaking for us. Michael has how many lawyers? 160 lawyers now, Michael?
No, 20 lawyers, but
Oh,
160 team members throughout the Midwest.
well, there we
Not,
go.
not quite that big. Not Morgan and Morgan size.
Okay. I had lunch with him a couple of years ago. Very interesting person.
He is.
Yeah. All right. And then, I'm going to turn this over, stop sharing, Michael, and I'm going to turn this over to you.
I me share. Why is it not letting me to present? There we go. All right. So I speak a lot on AI, and I've realized that there's a great wide spread of familiarity with AI. So what I do in these presentations is I do start with some fairly basic things. I think that even if you're a sophisticated user of AI, you may pick up a few things. But the bulk of this is going to be ChatGPT on trial. I'm a personal injury attorney. We have offices in Chicago, Indianapolis, St. Louis, Minneapolis. And I'm going to walk you through a personal injury trial from beginning to end using ChatGPT. The idea is not for you to say, oh wow, this is what I should do. It's to really force you to start using this as a tool. So let's begin. What we're talking about here are large language models, LLMs. The big ones out there right now are ChatGPT and Google, Claude, Grok. They're largely the same. Some are better than others. But I analogize it when you were in law school, you had Lexis and Westlaw. And you know what? I was a Westlaw guy, right? And I still stick with Westlaw. Lexis does the same thing. But for what we're going to use it for on an everyday basis, I haven't found too much difference. The more you dive into it, the more idiosyncrasies you can find. But for this presentation, we are going to focus on ChatGPT. That's the model that I use on an everyday basis. So there is a free version, but I always tell my kids, nothing in life is free, kids. And if you are using the free version, you are the product. The free version allows everything that you put into ChatGPT to be used to retrain their model. I hope everybody recognizes that's not a good thing. Okay, but for the price of $20 a month, you can get your own private GPT. I'm going to show you how to do the privacy settings. And it's not just for the people that are listening here. You need to make sure that you go over this with everyone in your law firm. Because if you don't think there's at least one person in your law firm that's using ChatGPT, you're sadly mistaken. Someone is, and you, as the attorney, have the responsibility to make sure that they're using it properly and in accordance with the ethical guidelines, which I will go over shortly. But for the $20 a month, you can have your own ChatGPT account. My firm has the enterprise account for the entire firm, which is significantly more expensive, but for the use that we get out of it, it is the best bargain out of any technology that we use. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the ethical and professional considerations. It's really important. We cannot skim over this, right? So we've got a duty of confidentiality. All right, we have to be very careful about putting sensitive client information into AI. It can be done. It should be done, but you need to make sure that it is being done properly and with the correct security protocols. Accuracy and reliability. We've all heard about this. AI is not perfect. AI is a tool. Oh, but Michael, I don't believe in AI because it makes mistakes. You know what? Humans make mistakes. Here's the best thing about AI. If AI makes a mistake, you can train it and it won't make that mistake anymore. How many people have we had that we've told them they did it wrong and they continue to do it wrong? So please don't look at accuracy or reliability as a reason not to embrace this technology. AI is a tool. It needs human oversight. It needs a human in the loop at all times. It requires human input, and it also requires human validation. Compliance, Gio already mentioned, we have an ethical duty under the model rules to be competent when it comes to technology. So you can't just ignore this. It is part of our professional responsibility. There are federal laws out there that protect data. This is something that I've been really getting into a lot recently is bias, okay? Is that these LLMs are all trained on data. And what it is trained on can have a very important impact on what the ultimate answer is. So for example, if you ask AI to create an image of a lawyer arguing a case before a judge, I can guarantee you that you will get a white male in a suit arguing in front of a white male with white hair. That's bias, okay? Because that is what the typical illustration is. And when I was in college, I majored in history, and almost all the history that I learned was Western civilization. And there's Asian civilization, there's Egyptian civilization, there's all these other things, and I didn't have exposure to them. And AI is the same way, is that what the information is being fed in is going to relate and it's going to create bias. These LLMs, which I mentioned, in the near future, I can't tell you how long, but we're talking, a year, 2 years max, you will have your own internal LLM in your office. You will be able to program that LLM in a way that supports what the tone and the values you have in your firm. We have built one out in our firm and we use it internally, and we have programmed it based on our firm values. And so when an AI system is trained on values that are important to your firm, it's one way to avoid bias. So I could talk about this for an hour. Just be aware that LLMs do result in bias. And you have to have continuous monitoring of the system and monitoring of the people that are using it. All right, data security. It's very easy, okay? As soon as you log in to ChatGPT, you go to settings, you go to data control, and you go to improve model for everyone, and you turn that off. Okay? Very simple. It's the very first thing you should do anytime someone has a ChatGPT account. And I'm telling you, you need to make sure that everyone in your law firm is aware of this. Best practices, it should be a law firm account. That costs money, of course. You should not allow anyone in your firm to use their own private LLMs. Oh, you don't have control over that. So this is very simple. You need to make sure, and all of them have their own data control features. But the point is you do not want to share your data to make the model better for everyone. Custom GPTs. Okay, you signed up for Chat GPT, you paid your $20, you locked down the security. What can you do with it? Well, the first thing that I would recommend is to create a custom GPT, which is pretty easy to do. You can see up in that top right corner, it says create. Then it will open up and configure. This is the programming, so to speak, of what you want this particular custom GPT to do. As a personal injury lawyer, we have insurance companies constantly saying our bills are not reasonable and customary. Well, you know what? To counteract that, we have built a custom GPT. Down here, we have uploaded the medical fee book. It's a whole book, okay? That is the reference point. And then we built out a custom GPT. These are the instructions. Okay, and then whenever we have records or bills, we want a report with the percentiles that are billed in that case. So what do the instructions look like for this? So this is basically what we've told it on every time that we upload medical bills, what we want done. How did we come up with this? This is pretty detailed. Well, we asked ChatGPT. I want to create a custom GPT that analyzes the reasonable and customary medical charges. What do you recommend to put in the instructions of this custom GPT? Right, so this GPT literally took 5 minutes to build. And as we have used it, we have tinkered with it to get the best results. But there are limitless numbers of custom GPTs that you can create and use for different purposes. It's very important to understand the difference between AI when it comes to legal research. We all learned the Boolean search, and if you were good at the Boolean search, you could find your cases. And what I sucked at the Boolean search. I loved Google because Google, you can type in a question in natural language and it gives you a result. But what is that result really that you're getting from Google? That result is not the answer. The result is a URL or a web page that Google believes is responsive to the question that you asked. And needless to say, Google and their algorithm have gotten really good at being able to give you the website that probably answers the information that you're looking for. Now we go to AI, and AI is completely different because when you type in a query, AI is going to give you the answer. Very important. AI does not think. AI predicts. And the larger the data set that it has, the more accurate the prediction is going to be. Hallucinations generally occur when there's not sufficient data for AI to make an accurate prediction. If you were taking a multiple choice test in A, B, C, and D, and you don't know what the answer is, if you leave it blank, it will be wrong every time. AI has been trained never to leave an answer blank. When you're taking a multiple choice test, you can usually say, hey, well, B isn't it and D isn't it. It's A or C. And then you can say, well, flip a coin and I'm going to guess that it's C. And sometimes you're going to get it right. That's the way that AI processes information. It predicts what that answer is going to be. And sometimes it's wrong, especially when it comes to legal research. We're almost getting ready for the trial, so I've gone through this pretty quickly. But something that I recommend everyone to learn, and it's a skill, is how to frame an effective query. Because creating queries in AI, the better you are at it, just as the better you're at with the Boolean search, the better the results are going to be. Okay, so first, you want to state who your audience is, okay? The answer that I want you to give is meant for a high school student. Here's a perfect example. We went through a process that we reworded all of our client communication, everything, every form, every template, every letter, and we said, please reword this for someone with an 8th grade education. There are studies that say that 8th grade education is the best for comprehension. And so I had been sending out the same, your deposition is said, a deposition is this, the court reporter, I've been sending the same letter out for 25 years. And when we ran it through this simple prompt, I was embarrassed that I had sent that foolish letter for 25 years. So who is your audience? Who would you like to respond? You are a judge in this case. You are an expert SEO marketer. You are a biomechanical engineer. All of these things are going to make a difference as to what the response is going to be. State your audience, who is the role. Needless to say, be specific. The more specific you are in your query, what you want to know, the better the result is going to be. A lot of people just think that ChatGPT spits out a paragraph. Well, you can ask it to export in any format you want, a list, a summary, bullet points. People don't realize you can export to a PDF, to an Excel, to an image file. So specify the format. Constraints, we use this for demand letters. And if the demand letter is a little bit weak, we'll say, expand on the liability by 35%. Okay, and it makes it longer. Or in addition to the damages that we've talked about, my client wasn't able to do this. Please add a paragraph about the impact it was on their life. Follow-up questions. It's not called chat for no reason. If it doesn't give you the answer that you want, you ask it again. That's not what I wanted. Refine your search. Sometimes I feel like it's, training a puppy, right? No, do it again. That's not what and you just have to really be patient. But the more you work with this tool, the more it is going to learn you, and the better the results are going to be.
Michael, it's been my experience with chat that it remembers me.
Well, it depends. It depends. First there is a function which I use pretty regularly. It's all the way up at the top right corner, and it says temporary chat. Okay, it will not remember that. The next thing is, it depends on if you say I am or you are, right? So if I only use I am if it really is I am. I am not an expert rock climber. Okay. I would say you are an expert rock climber. Please explain to me how they do it. You know, being facetious, but so I and you make a difference. If but it will remember you. It will remember what you do, what you like. You can also tell it. Please remember that I like Napa Cabernet Sauvignon, and I don't like Italian reds. Okay, it's going to remember that. I do like wine. I've got a custom GPT that is my own personal sommelier, and it knows exactly what I like. And it gives me all the information. I can take a picture of the wine label, and it will give me all the information that I want to know. Not the name, the grape varietal. I want to know, how was that year? What's the soil like? How was it aged? All these technical things. And it's just a little custom GPT. But anyway, let's talk about trial. So these are our facts. Okay. Everything that you're going to see are based solely on this slide. No additional facts, no additional records, no nothing. Just this. Right? And pretty simple. 12-year-old girl goes to the ER. My stomach hurts, mom. The doctor misdiagnoses her, says, oh, I'll go home. She'll be fine. 2 days later, her appendix ruptures. She has surgery, complications. The doctor never ordered a CT scan or ultrasound. Okay, so those are our facts. So this is a jury trial from beginning to end. So here's my query, right? These are the facts. Simple question. Please craft a voir dire. And this is in real time. It's a video, but I recorded it in real time. Now, if you've tried a lot of cases, this stuff is going to be fairly straightforward. All right, but connectivity problems. Right? But some of these are good. It's close family members with a serious condition. Attitudes towards healthcare providers. You can see how it's tailored for this from the simple facts that we put into there. Now, is this perfect? Of course not. Nothing you're going to see in the next 20 minutes is perfect, but it's a great place to start. And think about, if you've tried a lot of cases, once again, this is pretty elementary. Let's say you've got a really difficult fact that you want to front in voir dire. It's a great time to work on ChatGPT to find how to frame those questions. I'm a plaintiff's lawyer. Some of you may have heard of this. It's a legal theory. A lot of plaintiffs' lawyers subscribe to it. Originally, a couple years ago, when I started doing this, I bought a digital copy and I uploaded it and I created a custom GPT, said reference this. However, at this point, I can ask it, are you familiar with the reptile theory? I don't even need to upload it anymore. All right, so absolutely, ChatGPT is familiar with the reptile theory. And so I'm going to ask it, draft an opening statement using the reptile theory. Once again, just these facts, just the reptile theory, and this is the live time. This is the first iteration of this opening. And if you're familiar with the reptile theory, you're going to recognize basic safety rules, protect patients, that trust was shattered. All these phrases are right out of that book. right? And not really argumentative, because this is an opening statement. This tragedy was preventable if he had followed the safety rules. I've tried a lot of cases, but I couldn't have done an opening statement this good, this fast, and probably not even this good. Right? And then this is the first draft. You can ask more questions. You can tailor it. You can say, focus more on the injuries, whatever it is. Right, here's another treatise that plaintiffs' lawyers use all the time. And it is familiar. Okay, but I want you to look how I've changed my query slightly. Same facts. Okay, draft a cross-examination using the techniques and rules of the road, but be respectful of the witness. Okay, this defendant doctor, he or she missed it. Okay, they blew it. A jury is not going to be mad at this doctor. Okay, they're not going to give you permission to tear them apart. Contrast that with a doctor who was, out partying and came in hungover, right? That's going to be an entirely different cross-examination. But what we've done here is we're asking it to, this is the tone we want. And then here's the cross-examination. And I didn't ask it for this, but it's even put it in the different categories. All right. So we've got 34 questions. You could say, please expand this cross-examination to 100 questions. All right, or focus more on the standards that doctors are required to follow. Right. So we've done voir dire, we've done our opening, we've done the cross-examination of the doctor. Next we need to have the plaintiff's mother. Right? So we want a direct exam. We want it to emphasize what she went through, but please ask questions which do not make the mother sound like she's complaining. Juries don't like whiny people. Of course, this mother is devastated about what happened to her daughter, but you don't want a direct examination that comes across that way. So with this simple modifier, we're going to get a direct exam of the plaintiff's mother, because we're not going to get it out of the 12-year-old daughter, right? She's not going to be the one who's going to give us, the facts at the emergency room. She's not going to be one that's really going to give us the injuries and how her testimony is 5 minutes at most. We need to get this out from the mother. All right, so complaints, the emergency room visit. Notice these are non-leading questions as opposed to the cross-examination. So these are not things that I had to tell ChatGPT. Okay? It predicts based on cross-examination, based on direct exam, how the question should be phrased. Right, and there's the words I was looking for. Avoid exaggeration or bitterness. I said whiny. Exaggeration or bitterness is a much better way to explain that. All right, we're going to have an expert. Okay, we always have experts. And we always seem to run into the same experts in every case. And we always cross-examine, doctor, you've been hired by the defendant in 98 out of 100 cases, and they paid you, $10,000. That falls on deaf ears. I mean, lawyers think that's important, but it really is not as effective with jurors as you think. Here's a use for ChatGPT. Okay, I have uploaded 10 reports from the same doctor. Point out where any two consecutive sentences are exactly the same. Now, you could spread out 10 reports in front of you, and the human brain doesn't have the capacity to ingest all of this data. You could be the best trial lawyer in the world. You could know all the theory, all the books. You know your case inside and out, but there is a limit to the human capacity to keep all that in your brain. And with AI, it is limitless. And so imagine how impressive having 10 PDFs that all say client's injuries were soft tissue that should have gotten better in 5 to 6 weeks. The exact same language in every single report. Or, you will see these are templates that the doctors use. But when you ingest them into AI, you can be much more creative. I struggle with biomechanical engineers. They're a tough expert, there's a lot to this. You can upload a biomechanical engineer report and say, what assumptions, if proven false, would discredit this report? And it's good, or I should preface it by this. You are a biomechanical engineer. Please review this report and tell me what assumptions this expert is making that, if proven untrue, would destroy their credibility. So little things like that are really effective with AI at trial. We need a theme, okay? When I was a young attorney, I didn't know what a theme was. I just thought I got up there and argued and say that bad person rear-ended my client. That doesn't work. You need a theme. And so here's a theme, right, based on the facts. But you know what? I don't like this theme. I'm going to ask it for another theme. This one I like. A child's cry for help was ignored when responsibility was abandoned. Right? Love it. One of the problems with themes is that we all have our go-to themes. They're tried and true, and there's a reason why they're effective. But you know what? Not every case fits the theme that we may have, and we have a tendency to build our case around a theme that we're comfortable with. ChatGPT can help you come up with a completely customizable theme that will resonate and be much more effective than what you've been using. When I was a young trial attorney, Phil Corboy was, the godfather of PI, and every time he did a closing argument, that transcript would be photocopied and it would be circulated throughout every PI attorney in Chicago. And when I was a young attorney, I read all of those and I highlighted them and I cut them out and I made my closing argument like Phil Corboy. And it sucked. It wasn't me, right? You can't cookie cutter, trial work. So that's a theme. Next one, I love alliterations. Alliteration is a three words, all starting with the same letter. Okay, so based on the facts that we've been going over, can you even come up with a single alliteration? It's hard. Right? So I asked, here are 5 alliterations. But not too fond of any of those. So I'm going to ask for 5 more. Well, I love number 4. Ladies and gentlemen, she was misdiagnosed, mistreated, and mismanaged. And if you don't like these, keep asking. Keep asking. So this is one of the creative uses for ChatGPT. Next, we want an analogy. So here's an analogy. You take your car in. Hey, it's making a strange noise. The mechanic just says, put some oil in it. It's fine. And the car's engine blows up. That's a great analogy. And that is an even better analogy if you've got an auto mechanic on the jury. So think about who your jury is. Are you able to possibly identify who that jury foreperson is? Cater your analogy to that person. Uh, I asked Chat. Not a slide here, but I asked it for another analogy, and it said, "Oh, imagine an airline pilot who sees a warning light and ignores it, and the plane crashes." No, that is not a good analogy. I do not want to analogize my client's appendicitis with a plane crash. So these are the kind of things that you can fine tune and get until you really get what you want. All right. I am a huge fan of Mark Lanier. I think he is the best trial attorney of our generation. And based on these facts, said, draft me a closing argument in the style of Mark Lanier. And if you've ever read or had the privilege to see Mark argue, this is him. I mean, this is the way that he argues. And it's a fantastic closing argument. But here's the problem. I'm not Mark Lanier. Just as I'm not Phil Corboy. I'm not Mark Lanier. I can't give this closing argument. So what do? Is I took 3 of my closing arguments, closings that I have done in actual cases. Doesn't matter what the facts are, okay? I want it to learn my context and style. So I uploaded 3 transcripts, and I'm going to have ChatGPT do a closing argument in my style. And this is what it came out. And I could give this closing argument with my eyes closed because it is exactly the way that I speak. It's got my phrasing. It's got my pauses, the different things that I argue. It's perfect. It's perfect because I gave it the context necessary to predict what a closing argument should be like. And then I asked it to do damages. All right, so this is right out of David Ball Damages. That's one of my favorite books. We cannot undo what has been done. We cannot rewind time. Okay, we can't erase the years, but we can ensure she receives the resources she will need moving forward and send a message: this kind of negligence has consequences. All right, you are the voice of justice in this courtroom, the guardians of the community's standards. And that's the closing. I think everybody knows how important Google reviews are. If you happen to have your phone in front of you and scan that code and hit a 5-star review for me, I would appreciate it. And happy to go over questions of anything that we just went over.
Michael, excuse me, thank you. You're absolutely right about how to use it and be creative. I had a takings case in the Federal Court of Claims, and they had a real estate appraiser. I put everything, I had all my notes, I put all them into the chat. I put his bio, everything I had about him, put in there and asked it to give me an outline for his deposition. And it did. And then it also gave me several areas of questioning that I hadn't even considered. It's just the only thing that we're limited by now is our own imagination and how we use this.
Yeah, here's a couple other things that are little things that we do now that may be helpful. So our intake team, when they get a new call on a premises liability case, they may not realize whether it is or isn't a case. And what they will now do is they will take the picture, upload it to ChatGPT, and we'll have a prompt that says, please review this photograph for any violations of building codes, OSHA, ADA, or any other dangerous conditions. Now, I'm not going to use that in court, but for an initial screen, it picks up things like stairs. Oh, I fell down the stairs. Well, what caused you to fall down the stairs? I don't know. I fell. Well, let's see a picture of the stairs. Run it through ChatGPT, and it might say the fourth stair down is a 1/4 inch different elevation. Well, you fell on the fourth floor, right? Fourth stair, right, ma'am? Because, well, the point is that, even attorneys may not have picked that up. So that's a great use. We do med mal, and we had a labor and delivery case. Are you ready for this? You can upload fetal monitor strips. Say, please, you're an expert OB-GYN. Please, and you're familiar with Williams out obstetrics, which is the Bible for delivery. Please cross-reference these fetal monitor strips with Williams out obstetrics and give me a visual image where on the fetal monitor strips it is contrary to what Williams would have suggested. Right? That would have cost me $5,000 to send it to a doctor, and I can get it like that. Once again, I'm not going, I can't rely on court, but boy, that sure helps focus, where I want to, look a little bit further. So those are the kind of things that you just have to think. What can I use this for? We're just talking litigation. There's so many uses outside of litigation within your office, but getting used to it. I try to tell people, don't expect to be where McCready is. It took McCready 3 years to get here. Okay, but you have to start, and always start with the low-hanging fruit. Don't try to do your entire office with AI. Start with something that is easily replicatable and done the same way every single time. Start there, work it out, make sure that it works, gradually roll it out to your team. Another issue with AI is it's called change management. People are reluctant to change, and they are scared. The people that work for you some of them will be scared that AI is going to replace them. You need to reassure them that this is a tool, that this is meant to help them help our clients. It is not meant to replace you. It is meant to supplement. It is meant to augment what you do for our clients. And we need to do the best job that we can for our clients.
Well taken, well spoken, Michael. Are you using any other agents in your practice?
Yeah, we use Even Up. But so Even Up started as a demand letter company, and I know the people behind it very, very early on. It was never just a demand letter company. It is a data company. Okay, so think about if your data bank includes tens of thousands of demand letters and of medical records all around the country. Now, all of a sudden, you've got a great database to be able to predict what's going to happen next. Okay, so we use it almost every case. Please analyze the medical records and determine the 3 arguments that the insurance adjuster is going to have a problem with. All right, this is before we even look at the file, right? And it's going to say, oh, there was a gap in treatment here, or there's a mention of a pre-existing condition, right? And then we have a chat with it through Even Up. Please show me in the record or in the records where I can counteract that argument that the insurance adjuster is going to make. So we're another book that we're big fans of is Chris Voss, Never Split the Difference. Okay, so we have an actual GPT programmed through Even Up that helps us with our negotiating in the style of Chris Voss. tactical empathy. What can I do to this adjuster it's phenomenal. It walks. All of this speeds up the learning curve, especially for young attorneys, dramatically. I mean, the stuff that my young attorneys are doing, it took 20 years of trial and error, to learn this stuff, and they're getting to learn it through AI at a really expedited rate.
Does anybody have any questions for Michael?
Yeah, I have a question. So,
Sure.
Mike, thanks for the presentation. It was really good. So, when you were talking about the fact that attorneys, we're feeding information into AI with our clients, what is to stop bad actors from manipulating ChatGPT or the LLMs? Wouldn't they want to do that? I mean, with respect to any topic, any subject.
Yeah, so that's interesting. Well, first off, the programs themselves are generally, how do I say this? Elon Musk's product, Grok, just in the last week was having problems because the machine was allowing the users to literally take the clothes off of people. Okay, we all agree that that shouldn't happen. Okay, but it's an easy fix. It's a programming fix on the back end. And so as much as these machines continue to learn, there is even human oversight and guardrails. Some of you might have put in a query and ChatGPT will tell you, no, I won't do that. Right. So that is a constant thing that these LLM companies, these multi-billion-dollar companies are working with. But I haven't been aware of any any malicious information. Now, one of the arguments now is on the internet. There's a lot of AI slop, right? There's so much AI generated content, and it's junk. And if AI is being trained on junk, or if AI is being trained on incorrect information, that it can perpetuate it, and they're building safeguards so that doesn't happen. So I'm not aware of any malicious actors purposely feeding the LLMs. I suppose it could happen, but I would like to think that they have built-in redundancies that couldn't happen.
Michael, I wanted to say something real fast. True story this morning. I was having breakfast with George and he was telling me, hey, I'm having a speaker today talk about AI and you really should attend. And I said, you know what? Who you really should have speak is Michael McCready. He looked at me, he goes, that's who's speaking. I said, holy shit, really? No kidding. Okay. So you've been very generous. You blew me away on the ITLA thing. I've been diving deep into this and
Good.
I can't. The one thing that's hard for me to overcome is the guilt that I have when I get prepared for an opening or cross or whatever it is, and or a deposition of an engineer, and something that would have taken me literally 8 to 16 hours to prepare for, and it's done within like an hour and a half, and I sit there and say, "Holy cow, this is crazy! Like, what do I do now?" So it's just, and you've been a big motivating factor. Before I knew you, there was a guy that I was kind of looking into from Michigan, Enrico Schaefer. And he says that he's like the most knowledgeable AI attorney in the country. I think it's you actually. So anyway, I just wanted to say
Well,
thank,
I'll tell you
thank.
this: I would never say I am the most knowledgeable at all. Okay? I don't think there is anyone most knowledgeable. It is an ongoing evolution, and what I love presenting. I love presenting to people like, Michael, who in your office is doing all this? You know what? It's me. Okay. This is not, you don't need some 20-year-old, computer guru to do this. This is what lawyering is meant to be, is using your creativity and having all of these resources. So once again, going back to my history major, civilizations, the strongest civilizations were those who controlled knowledge, right? The Egyptian libraries and whoever controlled knowledge controlled everything. Well, where we are right now is that knowledge is available to everyone. Okay, there's no limitation to knowledge. Now it's how do you use the knowledge? It's using those tools in order to to augment what's already there, and it's the great leveling force. I'm a plaintiff's attorney, so of course I want to save time. If I can do something in 1 hour instead of 5 hours, that means 4 hours more of working on something else. I don't know what it does to the billable hour. I really don't.
I remember in the late 80s, we were going around talking to lawyers about using the PC, and we called it the great equalizer. And it's become more and more of an equalizer over the last 45 years. Steve Richards asked the question, what problems are there when we have handwritten medical records?
Okay, so you are an expert handwriting analysis. Please review these handwritten notes and create a written transcript. If you are less than 100% sure, please indicate what the alternatives you think may be. That's off the top of my head. That's probably going to get you what you need. You could probably do a little bit more on that. The good news is, yeah, not many doctors are doing handwritten notes anymore.
Well, that's true.
And now, but how about this? Is now that everything is electronic medical records, electronic health records, there are buttons to be pushed that populate all these things, putting in the medical records. What part of this electronic health record has not been indicated in the record that should have been? Okay, what based on your review, and always, you are an expert doctor, you're an expert, whatever, and what should have been included that is not? Okay, what should I do to investigate the actual audit trail? Give me specific instances that I can bring to the judge that I can say, Judge, I believe that this medical record has been altered, and I would like to review the audit trail, not the whole audit trail, just this little part, Judge. That's it.
Hey, Mike, for your presentation, your actual presentation today, did you use chat with a PowerPoint or a Canva or something? Because I tried to use chat with a PowerPoint to do something internally for our office, and it just could not sync up. It was terrible.
Yeah, I listen, we've got some in-house graphic people that do a lot of the stuff. Do they use AI? I'm sure they do. I don't know to what extent.
Okay.
I'm not a graphic person.
Okay.
So I couldn't answer you that.
All right, Michael, would you stop sharing? Or you did already?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. If you want credit for today's CLE program, send an email here to attendance@nwsba.org. In the subject line, put thank you, NWSBA, and you'll get credit recorded. I just want to remind everybody that we have another presentation coming up January 28th on restrictive covenants and employment agreements. And you are welcome to attend. And then on February 11th, we're going to have another AI-focused topic. This is going to be on the ethics of using AI. Sari Montgomery is going to be presenting for us on that topic. So keep that in mind. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing. And I'm going to once again say, Michael, thank you very much. I appreciate this. We're going to have this put on YouTube. And with that, I am going to stop recording.